Hey there, curious minds and history buffs. Welcome to our channel where we excavate the past to unearth the unexpected. Today, we're embarking on a whirlwind tour through time to uncover 50 shocking historical facts that'll leave you both amazed and amused.
Turns out camels once roamed the frozen Arctic. Talk about adapting to the extremes.
Australia once waged war on emus and lost. Those flightless birds outsmarted the Australian army.
The term computer bug comes from an actual moth that got stuck in a computer, causing a malfunction.
Ancient Romans used crushed mouse brains, urine, and even ground up hooves in their toothpaste. Makes modern toothpaste seem pretty appealing, huh?
Forget iPhones. The ancient Greeks had the astrolabe, a device that could tell time, navigate by the stars, and even solve complex math problems.
Ancient Roman concrete is so durable, some structures are still standing strong after 2,000 years.
In 1518, a dancing plague swept through Strasbourg, causing people to dance uncontrollably for days, sometimes to their deaths. Now that's a dance marathon gone wrong.
Cleopatra lived closer to the moon landing than the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Talk about a mind-bending historical fun fact.
The Anglo-Zanzibar War lasted a whopping 38 minutes, making it the shortest war in recorded history. Someone forgot to set their alarm clock, perhaps.
Did you know that ancient Egyptians used crocodile dung as a form of contraception?
The oldest your mom joke dates back to ancient Sumer, proving that some jokes truly are timeless.
The first vending machine dispensed holy water. Apparently, even ancient Egyptians loved a good on-the-go spiritual refreshment.
In 1919, a giant wave of molasses flooded Boston, killing 21 people and injuring 150. It's not as funny as it sounds, or maybe it is.
The earliest known prosthetic limb dates back to 3000 BC, a wooden toe found on an Egyptian mummy.
The oldest surviving recipe is a 4,000-year-old Mesopotamian stew. Sadly, no Yelp reviews to tell us how it tasted.
The Indus Valley Civilization had flushing toilets over 4,500 years ago.
The earliest known use of a magnifying glass dates back to the ancient Egyptians, who used crystals to enlarge objects.
The first compasses were invented in ancient China using lodestone, a naturally magnetized iron ore. Lost your way? Blame it on the lodestone?
The first telescopes were invented in the Netherlands in the 17th century. Suddenly, the universe got a whole lot bigger.
The first microscopes were invented in the 17th century, revealing a hidden world of microorganisms. Suddenly, things got a whole lot smaller too.
The first thermometers were invented in the 16th century. Finally, a way to measure how hot or cold it was.
The first barometers were invented in the 17th century. Finally, a way to predict the weather.
The first stethoscopes were invented in the 19th century. Suddenly, doctors could listen to your heart without having to press their ear against your chest.
The first blood pressure monitors were invented in the 19th century. Finally, a way to measure blood pressure.
The first pacemakers were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, hearts could keep on ticking.
The first defibrillators were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, hearts could be restarted.
The first hearing aids were invented in the 17th century. Suddenly, the world got a whole lot louder.
The first cochlear implants were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, the world of sound was open to those who had lost their hearing.
The first bionic limbs were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, science fiction became science fact.
The first robotic exoskeletons were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, we could all be superheroes.
The first brain-computer interfaces were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, we could control machines with our minds.
The first neural implants were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, we could repair the brain with technology.
The first gene therapies were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, we could edit our genes to cure diseases.
CRISPR, a revolutionary gene editing tool, was invented in the 21st century. Suddenly, the possibilities for gene editing became almost limitless.
The first stem cell therapies were invented in the 20th century. Suddenly, we could regenerate the body with our own cells.
The first 3D printed organs were invented in the 21st century. Suddenly, we could print organs on demand, potentially ending the organ donor shortage.
The first bioprinters were invented in the 21st century. Suddenly, we could print living tissue, potentially revolutionizing medicine.
The first synthetic organs are being developed right now. Suddenly, we could build organs from scratch, potentially ending the need for organ transplants altogether.
The first lab-grown meat was created in 2012. Suddenly, we could eat meat without harming animals.
Plant-based meats, made from plants but designed to taste like meat, are becoming increasingly popular. Suddenly, eating your veggies never tasted so good.
Cultured meat, grown from animal cells, is another promising alternative to traditional meat. Suddenly, we could have our meat and eat it too.
Meat substitutes, made from plant-based or other non-meat sources, are becoming increasingly sophisticated. Suddenly, the future of meat is looking less like a farm and more like a lab.
Dairy substitutes, made from plants like almonds, soy, and oats, are now a staple in many refrigerators. Suddenly you can enjoy your milk and cheese without the cow.
Egg substitutes made from ingredients like applesauce, bananas, or flaxseed are a vegan baker's best friend. Suddenly, you can bake your favorite treats without harming any chickens.
Fish substitutes, made from plant-based sources like seaweed or algae, are helping to reduce overfishing. Suddenly, you can enjoy your sushi and fish and chips without harming the ocean.
Seafood substitutes, made from plant-based or lab-grown sources, are becoming increasingly realistic. Suddenly, you can enjoy all the flavors of the sea without harming a single creature.
Insect-based protein made from crickets, mealworms, and other insects is a sustainable and nutritious alternative to traditional protein sources. Suddenly, bugs don't seem so bad after all.
Algae-based protein made from algae is another sustainable and nutritious alternative to traditional protein sources. Suddenly, the future of food is looking very green.
Lab-grown leather made from animal cells is a cruelty-free alternative to traditional leather. Suddenly, fashion can be both stylish and ethical.
And there you have it, 50 shocking historical facts that prove truth is often stranger than fiction. We hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour through the weird, wacky and wonderful side of history. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our future explorations into the past. Until next time.